Good morning, everyone. It's Grania here on Wednesday, the 3rd of February. And as promised, I'm here to talk about what I suggest are 7 good reasons why people aren't buying from you right now, or that was what it might feel like. And in difficult economic times, like the ones that we're in at the moment, especially with widespread financial challenges, we can fall into that trap of thinking that people aren't making buying decisions, that things are on hold. And I hear that quite a bit. As someone responsible for sales, you need to check whether that is true or whether that's an assumption and perhaps is a mindset that is holding you back. So we need to establish that and look what else we perhaps can do. If it is just a mindset, what else can we do in terms of our sales activities to still be selling? So first of all, check that. Is it an unhelpful limiting belief for you? Perhaps this is another excuse, especially if you're not really salesy. Are you genuinely using this as another excuse, perhaps not to pick up the phone and not to make those calls? It might be that you need genuinely, though, to shift your focus to a different market, and that's completely understandable at the moment. Or it could be that you could reposition your product or service to fulfill a different need or deliver a different outcome. So today, in this short video, I'm going to unpick some of these barriers and some things that might be holding us back from selling. And one of the things I talked about, seven good reasons why you might not be selling or why people might not be buying from you. I'm going to be using David Hoffeld wrote a book called The Science of Selling, and it's good because it is about the science of selling and tends to sort of look at it as though it's not an art. It sort of busts the myth that selling is an art, and there's actually quite a sequence and a proven methodology to doing it. And I still think that doesn't mean to say you can't add your personality to it, not at all. It still does take a fair amount of, I think, artistic skill. But there's a seventh one that isn't in his book, which I think is important here. And a really important big assumption that we need to test, we need to check ourselves, is to remember you are not selling to everyone. So when we think about this, this sort of headline that people aren't buying at the moment, perhaps it's just the people that we're looking at or we're looking towards or that we've previously looked to sell to that aren't buying at the moment. So this makes us check what our ideal client actually looks like, and then to make sure that our sales activity is focused towards our ideal client. So it could be that if people that you sold to before aren't buying at the moment. So for example, say your business has previously been providing lighting for entertainment venues, for theatres, then that is going to be a bit of a challenge. However, those lighting solutions could still work for other industries. So think about construction sites or schools or hospitals or home discos or some of the retail that's left behind. So there will still be other outlets. It's thinking about your solution and which ideal clients would now be buying from them. It's not just necessarily there's no market out there for us. Then we're going to David Hoffeld's whys. So the second of the 7 reasons and the first of his whys is why change. So in his 6 whys, David Hoffeld says there's 6 whys, which I'll talk you through, and all of them need to be in place for people to buy, and actually in the sort of sequence by talking them through. So does our buyer actually recognise that they've got a problem? And secondly, that problem is having an impact? Because all of us could probably think of things that we could do with fixing, but the impact of fixing them might not be big enough to warrant us actually taking action or paying for it. So thinking about it from our perspective, as a person, whatever you sell, and I know that I have the same feeling, we can look around and we can always see people who would benefit from what we do, whether it's getting fitter or getting more time or having their IT more slick and more connected. That's not to say, or they might even want somebody to help them get holidays at some point. That's not to say that they see it the same way. So people showing an interest is not the same as recognising that they have a problem. And we probably have lots of conversations where people are interested. That's not the same as them being buyers. So why is there change? What is their compelling reason to change? Is there a problem that has a big enough impact that needs to be fixed? Our job is to uncover that problem, first of all, and then the big part of our job as a salesperson is to build up and understand the impact of not addressing the problem. The second why, and the third of our 7 reasons that people might not be buying, is why now. And why now this is about what is to be gained from acting now and what would people lose if they didn't act now. It often takes, there's a really sort of a phrase that I think is really helpful here, which is compelling event. It often takes a compelling event to trigger this why now. So a compelling event could be, for example, something breaking down. It could be laptop not working, heating not working, whatever it is, something breaks. That's quite a compelling event that shows us that we've got a problem that needs to be fixed. It can be a major life event, so things like births, marriages, moving house, retirement, redundancy, new job, starting school. Major life events are often compelling, or major triggers or compelling events for why now. Or they could be sort of time-bound events, so things like birthdays or seasonal events, like barbecue season, as we look forward to that. So when you're thinking of your buyer, and that second why is about why now, is there really a reason in their world, in their life, not in ours, why they might be thinking about buying now? Now, something that I talk about a lot is really getting to know our potential clients, really digging deep into not just what's on the surface, not the problem or the challenge or the question they present, it's to understanding what's going on underneath that. And this is a perfect example, because we would need to know what's going on in their life and in their world to understand their compelling events, and those triggers would be. So the third why, and the fourth of our reasons, is why your industry. So we thought about why change, why now, why would they look to you for a solution and to your industry, not to your business, but to your industry. So let's take the example of if you're an estate agent, for example, and a potential customer comes to you, contacts you and says they would love you to value their house, and they want to know what your fees are. So immediately you're thinking, well, actually, the house is in a good area. You know it would sell really well. You check the competitors, and you know that for the value that you offer, you may be more expensive, but you offer great value. Perhaps you've got a great reputation. Your search and people search on your sites much more frequently than they do on some of the others. You've got a much better success record in finding properties and in selling properties. So you know that you can justify your fee, and you want to get this person on board as a customer. What you don't yet know, though, is that the reason that they're potentially looking to move is that they want more space, because they need a home office with working from home. They're also looking at log cabins, and they're also talking to a builder and getting a quote for an extension. So the reason why we need to think about why is that buyer looking, why would they choose our industry, is because nearly always as buyers, we will be looking beyond that immediate industry for other options, and because we have other options. So in your sales world, you need to be thinking, why would they choose my industry? Why is it more inviting, more useful, less risky, more important, the better option for them to choose to go to sell a house and to have their log cabin? The fourth why of David Hoffield's Einstein is why you particularly and your company. So this is not about your product, but why will they choose your brand and you? And this is about credibility and trust. Are you the most credible that you can be? Is your business the most credible? And are you congruent as a salesperson within your business? So, the reputation of your business will build through reviews and testimonials and perhaps photographs and case studies and editorials and any other PR that builds your credibility and ultimately actually builds the trust that people will have in your business. So when we're thinking about what might be stopping people, why they aren't buying, is there anything about us and our company that doesn't add up, that doesn't give them that reassurance, that takes the risk out of it, that doesn't set us apart from our competitors in our industry, so once they're looking within the industry? And remember that this can very quickly, even with all the best PR in the world, this can be quickly undone by an unconfident salesperson. So beware of allowing any chinks to appear in your business armor. Check that your confidence and your sales sort of behaviors are as congruent, as lined up, as as credible as your business reputation. The fifth why, and the sort of sixth reason why people might not be buying for us, is why our product or service. Do they fully understand the value of our product or service? Now, this is about having a forensically targeted value proposition that explains exactly how your product or service perfectly lines up with every single aspect of what that customer needs and every concern that they might have. So it's unquestionably more appealing, more targeted, more spot on, meets every requirement they have, and reduces any risk or any concerns that they might have about it when they compare you to other options. So they could be comparing you, coming back to our log cabin analogy, is it riskier? Is it less risky for them to get the cabin in the garden than to move house or to have an extension built? It's about this thing, the why your product or service is about crystal clear differentiation. It doesn't necessarily have to be massive differences, but we need to know and be confident that our buyers know the difference between our business, our product or service, and the others that they're looking at. And finally, the final of the 6 whys and the 7th reason why people might not be buying is they haven't really worked, they haven't convinced themselves why they need to spend this money, and we haven't done a good enough job in helping them understand why they need to spend the money. So in spite of everything that has gone on before, the prospect is not convinced that they're going to either gain enough or avoid losing money, or losing out if they don't invest in this. And you can see how we need to put a lot of the work in before they get to this stage for them to really believe that. But it can still be the sticking point. With the best will and well, we've done a great job of selling. Perhaps we just haven't really uncovered that thing that makes it that big enough problem, that big enough, reduce the risk, that big enough gain, that minimised risk, that will say they're ready to hand over their money. So, we really do need to be building a compelling case all the way through. And our job is, as salespeople, is to facilitate their thinking process. And what I love about the David Hoffeld 6 Whys is it is about facilitation. And for those people who are not salesy, thinking of yourself as facilitating buying is a lot easier typically than it is when you feel that you're selling. So the 7 reasons why people aren't potentially buying from you are both, I would say, see them as both a guiding path for how you tackle sales and how you think about it. So it's actually, how do you facilitate that buying? But it's also a really good checklist for you to go back and perhaps look at your sales pipeline and think, from what I know or what I don't know, why might people not be buying from me or from anybody at the moment in this industry? As in much of sales success, really targeted, brilliant questions, and then listening and responding with empathy will get you so far. It's not always about that pitch, that that presentation. So much of this is done in the questioning and the understanding and facilitating people's thinking. And that will pay dividends in terms of the trust that you build, but also in the results you get. Hope that's been helpful. I will post this on YouTube as well, on my channel on YouTube, as I'm going to be adding things over there, and you can comment and ask questions there too. Also, if you're not already in the Sales Confidence Naturally group, please come and join us. I post there daily. I answer questions. I love to help. So see you in one of those, YouTube Sales Confidence Naturally, or just here on All About Results. Thanks a lot. Bye.